Hi, my name's Chineye. My mum developed mental illness when I was born, and when I was growing up, no one really explained anything about it to me, like what it was, how it's caused, and how it could be treated. Some people use different words for it, like mental illness, mental difficulty, but some can be quite hurtful, like stupid, mad, silly. So I thought, if you have parents with that sort of illness, maybe I could get some explanation for you.
So I asked Alan. He's a doctor who runs workshops for children whose parents have mental illness.
This is so that the children can have a better understanding about it and perhaps talk to their parents about it. We got together a group of children to have a sort of class.
And it's not just a school class, because if your mum or dad does have something as upsetting as mental illness, it's really important to have some fun, because we're still kids after all.
Swap seats, everybody who brushed their teeth this morning.
White chair.
What kind of rude things might they say?
Crazy.
Right.
Cuckoo.
Cuckoo?
It's a bit, we might say psycho.
Psycho. Right.
We often do dramas to help us think together about things that can be upsetting in a more light-hearted way.
Bit depressed. Be quiet. Why wasn't you at school yesterday, Lewis?
I had to look after my mum.
What was wrong with her?
She was ill.
What? Suffocating. That's not very nice, is it?
So, Chineye, when you were growing up, you know, and you were like 10, 11, 12, did anybody ever explain it to you?
No, they just tried to cover it up. My family didn't really know anything about it.
And like, you had a social worker, did you?
Yeah, she tried to cover it. She didn't want to talk about it, touch sensitive issues, because I don't think they actually knew what it was.
I see.
Themselves. I personally don't think they knew what it was.
I think when you can understand something, then you can deal with it so much better, even if it is a bit scary. But then, where do you start to try to understand something that most people just don't want to talk about?
Will you draw me a mum or a dad? I don't mind if it's a mum or a dad. Now, let me ask you a really rude question. Have you got a brain?
Yeah.
Where do you keep it?
In my head.
Okay, can you give her a brain? A nice red brain. That's lovely, thank you very much. Okay, let's have another one.
So, is that right?
You think yes, that's right, except it's bigger, always bigger.
Is it always bigger?
Goes down to about there.
Really? Should I do it?
Yeah, go on, finish it.
So where'd you go? Down to there, did you say?
Even further, right down there. Okay. Remember, as I said, it has this other funny bit. Goes down inside your back.
Spinal cord.
Spinal cord, that's right. Now, can anybody tell me what the brain's for? What does it do?
When you want to move your hand, it tells your hand that you want to move it.
It just moves your hands.
It moves your body and your
Moves your body.
actions.
Very good. Does it do anything else?
It's like, it has, like, so you can remember stuff.
Makes decisions for you.
Brain controls everything for speech,
Yes.
emotions.
Ah, now wait a minute. What's that word? Anybody know what that word is she used there? Emotions?
So like your feelings.
So the brain controls everything. But how?
The brain, like, tells your hand what to do. So there's a nerve telling it what to do. Gabby, come up here a minute. Now, Gabby, look at this group a minute. Okay. Now, can you put your arm right up in the air? Right. Now put your arm down again. Now, why did you do that? Your brain sent a message down which told your arm to go up, made your muscles work, right? If you turn round a minute, and you close your eyes a minute, where is it now?
Back of my head.
Right, how do you know that?
Because I can feel it in my hand.
Yes, okay, that's very good. You see, here's a funny thing. When you have your hand in that, like Gabby had it, your hand sends messages down which tells your brain where it is. So when you're trying to do things, your brain and your body are like talking to each other the whole time. Now, has anybody ever been in school where the teacher says, stop talking and pay attention? None of you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
only the girls. Oh. Now, why do they say that? Yeah? Why?
Because you're not concentrating on your work.
Yes, but why aren't you concentrating?
Because you're thinking about something else rather than your work.
But can't you think about more than one thing at a time?
But they don't want you to, because they want you to like concentrate and get things right.
Now, that's because all of our brains, they can only manage just enough stuff, just enough ideas, just enough things that we think about. If we get too many things in our brains, we can't manage.
So let me think about this. Our brain controls everything in our body, but also what we think about. So if you need to concentrate in class, you'll find it difficult if there's lots of distractions. We tried an experiment to see what it's like.
To try and stop Lewis from concentrating on what Sarah's going to tell him.
How do you? What's on your
Louder.
Go for it. He finds other survivors. What you leave with the
What's your favourite colour? Yeah, what's your favourite colour? What's your favourite number?
At the end of the movie, he finds a cure, but then he has to die because
Who's your best friend?
What's your name?
So, Lewis, can you tell us about the plot of that film?
There's a scientist discovering a cure for cancer, but then it goes wrong, so then everyone turns into humans. Then Will Smith tries to kill monsters and find the cure. In the end, he does, but then he dies in the end.
Did he get it right?
Yeah, but everyone turned into monsters, not humans.
All right, but pretty good, wasn't it? Considering how much distraction he had. And that's because most of us, even though we've got all these different things happening to us, we can sort of just choose what we want to hear.
Lewis didn't do too bad, but it shows that you don't get it quite right if there's too much going on. I think what Alan's getting at is that just like the brain talks to your body, so it can also choose what it listens to. So what else can it do?
19 and 13.
19 and 13. 32, I think.
Right, I think that's right, yes. But you see, you had to do that, didn't you? You had to make an effort. You had to sort of think, didn't you? So your brain had to tell you to do that thinking, right? Now, do you know if you were right or not?
Yeah.
So you were able to check, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can choose to think about a problem, and you can even ask your brain if you've done it right. But to do that, Sarah had to concentrate on the sums and cut out all her other thoughts. I know when I'm trying to do homework, I often find it hard if I'm also worrying about my mum or if I've had a fight with my friend. So how do our brains manage to concentrate if they've got too much stuff coming into them?
It's like the bottom of the brain here has, and I was trying to think of a proper word for this, it has like, you could call it a net. Or, do you know the thing that they have in a kitchen called a sieve, you know, if you want to wash vegetables? So it could be like a net or a sieve or a filter. And it just lets through as much thoughts or as much ideas as you can manage, you see. You can, with your brain, you can stop thoughts and ideas coming in if you can't manage them. Now, the problem is, for some people, this stops working terribly well. They can't control how much ideas and feelings and thoughts come into their brain. And when somebody has a mental illness, that's one of the things that happens to them. That too many thoughts come in and they can't shut them out. Too many feelings, too many ideas. Anybody know why that would happen? Yeah.
If they're worried?
Yes, it's right. If they're very, 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 very worried, and they've got so many worries that they can't shut the worries out, sometimes that's a reason why they wouldn't be able to shut thoughts out. Yeah?
Maybe because there's too many things going on around them.
Yes, that's like worried and too many things. That's very good, yeah, that's right, yeah. And sometimes something goes wrong with this. We don't really know exactly why. But it stops shutting out too many thoughts and feelings and ideas, and the brain gets like flooded so that the person can't think and they can't sort out one thought from another, and they can get very muddled and very confused. And that may sometimes make them say very muddled or strange things. And that's one of the things that happens when somebody has a mental illness. And that's why there's the idea that if we make people go somewhere quiet, when somebody goes to hospital, the idea is that they can cut down, that they don't have too many things to worry about, too many things to think about, and that they can feel calmer. And also they would have medicine. We'll put a big M for medicine. And the idea of the medicine is like to calm this down temporarily until they get better. It doesn't exactly cure them, but it allows them to get better. So that's one way in which medicine helps somebody when they have a mental illness.
In our group, there's always a chance to talk about things you don't understand and to ask any questions.
I wanted to ask, you know how some people get better?
Yes.
You know, when they're ill and they get better?
Yes.
That blue thing, how does it just mend? And then sometimes they get ill again and
Yes.
they get better. What makes them better?
It's a very good question. You see, one of the problems is that the medicines, they don't actually cure it. When something doesn't work in the body has to actually make it better itself. It has to heal it, do you see? And what the medicine does is it's a bit like a bandage, really. It's a sort of bandage that keeps it calm so it can get better, right? Yeah. Now, the problem is that some people either don't take their medicine, so they don't have the bandage, so they get more confused, or sometimes the healing takes a very long time. That's why it's very important for adults, if they've had an illness like this, to get treatment and to try and keep the treatment going till they get better, not to stop it too soon. To some extent, it could happen to everybody, but mostly people need a lot of stress. But if this part of the brain has become very weak, then a relatively small amount of stress could have that effect.
It's how I imagine it. People who are sick and they vomit it out, but then how do they get it back here?
Well, you see, what I've drawn here, it looks like it's part of the body, isn't it?
But in fact, it's not really a thing that you can see or feel, but more like a program on a computer which can block out stuff that you don't need. But if someone sometimes can't filter or sieve out enough, then they can become flooded by their thoughts and overwhelmed by their feelings.
I know the sieve or the filter doesn't really explain everything about how it feels or even what happens when someone has a mental illness. But for me, it's a helpful way to understand what might be happening when my mum gets very muddled or confused.
Does medicine work for everybody?
It works to some extent for everybody, but some people it works for much better than others. And it also works better if the person is also fairly calm and living somewhere where there are not too many things happening.
I was going to say, surely medicine is not the only form of treatment for mental illness, because the root cause for most people is stress. Some people who are mentally ill, they don't actually talk about their problems, they leave everything in. And once they start speaking to someone about their problems and when the social workers come in and try to eliminate some stress, some people, one could get better. It's a combination of medicine and...
Yes, it's the combination that's important.
What is a crisis team?
If a relative falls ill, you can just call them. They're like nurses. So they come to your aid. They come with their medicine and they give your parents or whoever's got mental illness some medication and try and make sure that the mental ill person is taking their medication and make sure that they're safe at home.
And they might come in 2 or 3 times a day?
They can come any time. If you call them in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, they'll be there. They're always on the phone, so you call up first, and then you explain what's happened, and then they come to your house. Was that complicated? Well, it sort of made sense to me, and I hope it did for you too. If you see a doctor or a mental health worker or even a social worker who's trying to help your mum or dad, please don't be afraid to ask them to explain to you what mental illness is, how it's caused, and how it can be treated, and keep asking until you get a better understanding about it. Good luck.